All right, welcome everyone to the weekend recap breakdown show brought to you by the people of International Soccer Break. And we're bringing in people from all over the globe actually today. We got West Coast of the US, East Coast of the US, and across the pond, Vic live from London, straight off a holiday from Spain. But
I like
let's get
how
into
we have
it.
a banner for Bic here saying live from London.
Yeah, why not live from
Our big
everywhere else?
marketing pitch here. Look at
Oh,
us. We have a
I'm the
London
only
guy
investor
on our
in that,
show.
No one cares about the US cities, man.
Oh, hell no,
Yeah.
nobody cares about it.
No one cares about the US cities. But anyhow, so this is the way we're going to do this. We're going to each go through the top things we saw this weekend so that all of you out there can figure out what you missed this weekend or maybe didn't miss, and then have your own take on what we're about to say, whether you agree or probably disagree. So I will start it off because there is a new World Cup. Technically, this was not the weekend. This was the end of last week, but I think it's something we need to talk about. And from my perspective, Spain, Portugal, and Morocco get the World Cup, kind of, because the first few games are going to
Crazy,
South
man.
America. So not only do we have some countries that have had questionable political histories with each other, Spain and Morocco for one. Spain and Portugal are generally friendly, but Spain and Morocco for one. We have carbon emission problems when people are flying from Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay across to Europe. You potentially have switching of seasons, winter, summer, because it'll be winter down in South America. So, boys, what you got to say about this one?
I didn't know you were such an environmentalist, but I'm happy you brought up that point. I'm very happy you did, because I didn't even think about that, but I'm very glad. And it's very important that as a show we respect the environment. So I'm very glad you brought that point up. But I would say that it's just getting out of hand, right? I mean, why don't we just have a World Cup like everyone plays in every country in the world? I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. It's getting a little ridiculous. Right? Like, think about the players having to travel, and I don't know what it means. 3 games in South America. What does that mean? Who's going to play? Is that only the South American teams? And now
Isn't it the opener? Isn't it
they'll
the opener
host.
for
They'll host.
Yep.
So Argentina will host, Paraguay will host, Uruguay will
Yep.
host. I think that's
It's
it.
each of their openers. They are playing their first match in their countries as a celebration of this major event, and then that's it.
And
That's
then
the
you
only
go
game
off
for
to Iberia. Roy,
That's
you
it.
don't really care about the environment, though. So
I do not. No.
Yeah.
I care about Argentina playing at home. That is my number one priority.
Wait, so you think this is a good idea?
Going across borders, I think, is a good idea, especially Iberia. I think that is wonderful. It's speaking of environment and human rights. You failed to mention human rights, Sahil. That is important. Now, all the pressure isn't on one country to suddenly sprout dozens of stadiums for this World Cup. For any World Cup, it's going to be shared amongst 3 countries. There's probably going to be minimal construction. We won't see what we saw in Qatar. We won't see what we saw in South Africa. We won't see what we saw in Brazil, which is everyone rushing, spending billions, tons of manpower, tons of people building these stadiums, injuries, deaths, etc. This is good. In that sense, this is good.
Yeah, Bic, you just came back from Spain. What do you think about?
Yeah. I mean, what I don't understand is why they just couldn't have it all in South America. Because I get why they're having those matches there, right? It's a celebration of the first ever World Cup, so it's a
That's a good
100-year
question.
anniversary. So I think that's the thing. That's the thing for me. The thing between Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, they're so close to one another. Yeah, I just came from Spain. I was in Granada, so it's closer to Morocco than it is to France. So the amount of traveling they'll be doing between those 3 countries is probably less than they'll be doing in the US. So I get it.
That's why. I think that's why they didn't do it, because South America would make the most sense to just do it in South America. But the travel from Peru to Argentina, from Venezuela to Argentina, from Argentina to, well, it won't be Central America, but it's a lot.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's let's not beat around the bush? FIFA mirrors with the world in this sense because it's one of the most corrupt organizations probably out there, right? So do you think that it's this, or do you think they actually thought about the logistics? Like Roy's making it sound very like there was sound decisions made by this board of shady individuals.
I think they're trying to give everyone a chance.
Yeah.
Actually, in this case, I do think the intention is that. I think it's that.
Yeah.
Look, it's cool the idea of Morocco hosting World Cup games, right? Especially after their performance in the last World Cup, and you saw the fan support. So I think it's very cool. Again, at the same time, it's very, very cool as a representation of the first World Cup ever to host those games in South America. But I think you're trying to do too much, as the kids would say. I think it's a little bit like, think about the players and how we've always seen the statistics where certain teams have to travel an insane amount. And it's a good point that this is perhaps less travel that's going to happen in the next World Cup, the one in the US, Mexico, and Canada. But then also the fans, I don't know, it's hard to get around. And then it's like, am I going to go to games in South America? Am I going to games in Spain, Portugal? I don't know. I think it's interesting, but I think it's challenging for the players and for the fans.
Okay, who's
Keep
going?
in mind, it's a larger World Cup, and we're doing the same thing here. We're doing the same exact thing here. More travel, USA, Canada, Mexico. I think they're going to probably be replicating that formula moving forward, considering the amount of games and the amount of teams that are going to be at these World Cups. I don't think it's fair to expect a single country to be able to host this many games of such importance and this many fans. Keep in mind, it's typically a lot less fans flying in. Now it's going to be a lot more. Do they have the infrastructure? Are they going to have to build dozens of hotels on top of the stadium? So something to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does Qatar get its own World Cup and then now you need 3
I
countries?
think I
makes
already referred to that. I won't say it again, but I already referred to that and alluded to that earlier.
Sako mentioned that one.
Yeah, so you guys can figure it out. Although Rahi, you got to experience the lovely hospitality that they did roll out for you in Qatar. So I will say that. Okay, now I'm moving on. Bick, you'll appreciate this being a Londoner.
Yeah.
So if I look at the top of the table as of this Monday morning, I see Arsenal and I see Tottenham. And I'm thinking, without using expletives, what the F just happened here? Because I don't think this is something that anyone expected. If there are two clubs that are perennial underachievers in the Premier League and are the butt of very many jokes, it is these two clubs. Yet we stand here a couple months into the season. Look who's on top.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, it's just,
it's fantastic.
Sorry,
Is it fantastic?
It's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's great because I think, again, we said this last week. I think everyone came into the season thinking Man City are just going to run through with it, and now they've lost 2 matches in a row. Spurs and Arsenal on top. I mean, this is exactly what you want. I still think City will take it. I would love, because I'm a neutral, so I would love for either Arsenal or Spurs to go through. Fans of both teams are equally annoying, so it doesn't really matter to me that much.
It was a pretty shit game, though. I won't lie. The Man City versus Arsenal, there's a tendency, I think, in soccer when, it was like you get these big matchups, and everyone's like, especially in the US, they're all excited, like, I need to watch this marquee game, and then they come out of it, and just the fact that 2 outstanding teams were playing, they back into that and say, "Whoa, what a fantastic game!" But I think you guys would agree that was not a good game.
No, it wasn't a good game to watch, but it's a huge result and it's a huge game in the grand scheme of things. So you have to give it that. And it's a huge result for Arsenal. I mean, think about this. I don't think that Pep Guardiola has ever lost to this Arsenal team, right? And Arteta has never beaten him.
It's the last 12. That was the last 12 games.
No, I don't think Arteta's ever.
Arsenal has lost the last 12 games to City.
Yeah, and Arteta himself has lost the last 7. So it's a big win for him. It's also such a big win because they were missing their best player. Bukayo Saka was out, right? And we thought, oh man, this is trouble, right? Having played him in the midweek, and for them to win a game where they weren't the better team, and it was kind of a boring, relatively even game. To win a game at the death like that is such a huge mental thing, and it shows a toughness. It shows that they're in the fight, man. I mean, to win a game where you're not the better team and you were lucky and you're without your best player, but it's a huge result. I don't know. I'm surprised because this could be a huge turning point for Arsenal.
Well, Man City also had a couple of their star players missing, right? Like Rodri and KDB. And I think you can see like they make such a huge difference once again, Haaland not looking that good.
Haaland didn't do anything, man.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask Roy if he knows where Tottenham is. Where's
Do I
Tottenham?
know where it is?
Yeah, where's Tottenham?
In London.
Oh, look at that.
I know
We're
where
not
it
gonna
is,
make it. We're
man.
not gonna make it point in a map. Oh, but okay, let's talk about the other game real quick. Luton Town comes in, Tottenham gets a red card, and you think that was one of the stupidest like red cards. I mean, he gets a double yellow for the diving. Malian International probably Basumo probably wants that back, but they go into the game, they're playing a man down, and they still find a way to win. I mean, that's pretty impressive for Tottenham.
Yeah, I guess they learned from Liverpool last week. Again, like I think both teams have done. You say when you say like champions need to win when they aren't playing that well, or when they're 10 men down or whatever it is. You need to win those matches, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, Luton Town had a few chances as well. They didn't roll them over. It was a close-ish match. Again, not a great match, but yeah, they did what they had to. And yeah, there's a steeliness around Spurs and Arsenal this year that you don't traditionally associate with these clubs.
Yeah.
You
Do any of you believe I'm going to ask all of you, do any of you believe that these are the two teams that are going to end up in the pole positions at the end of the season?
Arsenal, yes. Tottenham, no.
Arsenal number
I think
one,
Arsenal, this has been a long time coming. They look fantastic. Absolutely fantastic last season. They just kind of started to unravel towards the end of the season, which I felt it was mental, a lot of it. I felt it had less to do with their ability to get there, but mental. They haven't done it in so long. But I think they have the coach. I think they have the team. They have the chemistry. They have the players to win it this season. It's about them holding on, because Manchester City is always going to be there. They're always going to be a contender. They're always going to be a top two. I think it's about outlasting them.
I don't think so. No, I think this is a big result, but I think as the congestion starts to play a role, the fixture congestion, which is happening, right? Saka gets hurt, Champions League picks up. They're going to have games against inferior opponents where they're going to drop points. That's the biggest thing, and that's what's going to matter.
So you're saying no. You're saying no.
I don't think Arsenal will finish.
Okay,
I think City still finishes.
Big London homer. What do you got?
I think Arsenal finish in the top two. I don't think they'll win it. I think it'll be City and Arsenal again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I'd like to see him win.
Moving on. Let's go to Rahi. What you got? What you got today?
Well, I'm wearing my AC Milan shirt.
There he is.
Know that's something I'm going to talk about, because for about 85 minutes, this game was pretty boring. It was a pretty terrible game. And let me tell you, the Serie A, when it's boring, can be really boring, because these teams are very tactical, very defensive. And Genoa, who's their opponent, Genoa has been very good at home. They've been able to take points off big teams. They beat Mourinho's Roma, I think, 4-1. They've taken points in multiple games against Lazio as well. They're a good team. They're defensively sound, and they were playing very well in this game. And it was pretty. So AC Milan looked like they were the better team. They had the possession, but they weren't creating enough chances. And then after 85 minutes, everything about this game turned. And this is why sports is so exciting, why soccer is amazing. And as an American fan, it was an incredible moment, right? Because Yunus Musah played the whole game. And by the way, he played really well. He started. He's becoming, I think, a legitimate starter for this team. And so it was a really impressive performance. And then Pulisic comes in the game, along with Leao. They come in around the 50th, 60th minute. And then in the 87th, I think it was, Musah has a cross in the box. Pulisic turns in the box. Kind of a scuffy finish, if that's even a word, but it goes in. And it's a huge moment, right? I think that's the winner. And I thought that was the winner. But then things got a bit weird. Because a couple minutes after that, Mike Maignan gets sent off. He comes out for a header, and his knee kind of connects, and he gets sent off for denying a clear goal scoring opportunity. So it's basically a free kick on the edge of the box for Genoa with no proper goalkeeper, because they've made all their subs. The funny thing is, I heard Puli wanted to go in his goalie. So Puli said that Puli wanted to go in his goalie, but they told him he was too short.
Too short.
What
a reason.
Wow.
So then he was the tallest guy in the
that's
field.
fair enough.
What happened?
Yeah.
That's completely fair enough.
Right. No, you know what's funny is our American team's actually pretty short. Wouldn't you guys say?
Pulisic? I think he's like
In general, our American team is actually pretty short.
See,
I mean, the fact that Pulisic, who actually looks like one of the taller players on the team, and they're like he's too short to go in goal.
Pulisic is listed as 5'10", so he's really not that short.
I
But
mean,
how tall is Manyan? Is he even shorter than the starting goalkeeper?
Theo Reyna's 6'1". Holy cow, Manyan.
no, these are inflated. Yeah, I think these are always.
I
They
mean, it
always
says he's
everything is
5'10".
like
I could've
it's
sworn
always
he was, like,
inflated by a
5'7".
couple inches for sure. So I think that means Pulisic is probably about like 5'9".
Oh, that's funny. The U.S. soccer website has him as 5'10". The MLS soccer website has him as 5'8".
Yeah, told you,
It's
told you guys.
a
Anyhow,
little
so
weird.
so did Oli do a good job in goal? He had to save any.
So-
I'm
well,
sure he saved some
so
shots.
He comes in for this free kick, and it's the worst situation to come into, right? Because it's a free kick on the edge of the box, and he steps right in, and I think it's Gudmundsson who takes the free kick, and he's smart. He just puts it on frame, right? He puts it low instead of trying to put a perfect free kick. He puts it low, and it gets deflected. Takes a wicked deflection, and it hits the crossbar. So there's no way Giroud was saving that. He just kind of stood there, takes an insane deflection, and hits the crossbar. And so then everyone breathes a sigh of relief. There was no way he was saving that. But the crazy thing is, about a minute later in the final minute of the game, there's a ball that gets played up, and it's effectively a one-on-one. The defender's beaten, and Oli comes off his line, punches the ball away, and then it kind of gets deflected around, and he grabs it again off a deflected shot. It's an incredible save if you haven't seen it. It's an incredible save, and it's an incredible save for someone who hasn't played goalie in probably, 10 years? And then, of course, the AC Milan players all run around and start hugging him, cheering.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of emotions in what was a very drab game for about 85 minutes. But, man, I was impressed. All he did quite well. I'm glad Puli didn't go in goal because he would have let that one in.
So
Can you imagine he gets scored on? The amount of hate he would get. Just,
It was, and as an American fan, it was amazing, right? Because think about the fact that for a long time this year we've wondered, is Musa going to get starting minutes? Pulisic has been good, but then he wasn't good against Inter in the derby. And so then it's thinking, well, what is he really going to be? Is he going to come with big moments? And this was a huge moment. To get that goal was massive. And oh, by the way, it also put them top of the table because Inter Milan dropped points. Yeah. So it's a massive goal on multiple levels. And it was a boring game, and then it was an incredibly, incredibly interesting game.
I have an issue, Rocky. I have an issue with this, and I feel like I'm alone here. I feel everyone I've brought this up to has disagreed with me. And my issue is Christian Pulisic is showing up against lesser teams in Serie A, and he's failing to show up. You said this was a big moment, yes, but it wasn't a tough opponent. It was a boring game against a drastically inferior Genoa side. I think they're in 16th and 15th, they're bottom table. He scores. I thought it was a beautiful goal. I thought the churn was gorgeous. But in general, the pattern I'm seeing here, the pattern I'm seeing with the U.S. men's national team, less so because he shows up against Mexico, but he's not showing up against the tough opponents. He didn't show up.
It was a Musa to Pulisic, like, American connection, man. What?
That was nice. I loved it. Listen,
what do you? Why are you taking it? Why are you taking it to a sad place?
I need to say this because nobody is stepping up and admitting that yes, he has 4. I think it's 4 goals, 1 assist in 8 games, but he's scoring against inferior teams. He's disappearing. He is the invisible man. He calls himself man in the mirror. I call him the invisible man when he plays against a stronger opponent. And I don't like that.
Wait, repeat those stats. Repeat those stats again. I think Big had a comment about those stats. Repeat those stats.
It's 4 goals, 1 assist. Is it not? Can we confirm this?
Okay. 4 goals in 8 games.
Do we have an intern? Check
the
stats.
You think that's good, Big, or what?
Right now, I've got my phone here, but I think 4 goals in 8 games is really good. I also think, like, if he's not, how many big teams has he played against?
He's played against 2, if I'm not mistaken.
2, yes. I mean, he's
disappeared in both games.
Matches where he's not performed to that level in a whole new league. I think we can give him a bit more time. I remember his criticism of Ronaldo back in the day. Like, he doesn't perform against the big teams, and then he did, and then he did again and again and again. So I think it's not a big enough sample size.
I'm okay with giving him more time, but his career is the sample size in this case, and that's my issue.
You're
That's my
you're
issue.
talking about. I mean, thank you for being the voice of reason from across the pond, Vic, because the sample size is incredibly small, and you're talking about three. I know the games you're talking about. You're talking about three big games, which are the game against Inter and the two Champions League games. Which AC Milan has scored a grand total of 1 goal in those 3 games, right? So it's not as if he's the one who's playing poorly and disappearing. I mean, the entire team. You have Rafael Leao on that team, who is, arguably one of the best players in the world, and he hasn't showed up in those games either.
You know what
really.
I'm talking about, though. You know what I'm talking about. The famous Pulisic disappearance. There's a difference between not being on your game and not being in the game, not seeing this damn player on the field. I will watch the game in its entirety, and I don't see Pulisic. I see him run into a player a couple times, and then he disappears for 25 minutes. He's famous for it.
Did you feel that was representative in this game? I didn't feel that necessarily.
I thought it was heading in that direction before the goal.
Rahi, did you feel that?
No. I thought he got on the ball. I thought that he struggled to penetrate a bit.
But it's the same thing, Rocky. It's a lowly opponent, so that's not my issue.
Roy loves to use the term lowly. I think like he uses like lowly opponent. I wonder how the people of Genoa feel about that.
I don't care.
All right, Roy, let's hear you. Stay in the Serie A. Let's hear what you got to say about our other boys in Juve, because I know this is something you saw this weekend.
I saw this one, and I didn't think it was ever going to happen because Weston McKennie has been playing right wing back, and that is the position that Juve was eyeing Weah for, right wing back. Apparently in training, apparently in the matches, you can't bench McKennie with the form he's been in for Juve this season. He's been fantastic. Arguably a top 2, top 3 player for them every single game. He has that swagger back. He looks to be in shape. A completely different player from what we saw in the Premier League. The Premier League, what we saw was an out of shape, disinterested, frustrated, disconnected McKennie. We're seeing the McKennie we love with his little Harry Potter performances, just producing magic. And I love it. So the downside was Timothy Weah wasn't playing. This is the first time we've seen them both on the pitch at the same time. He chose to go with Timothy Weah at right wingback. McKennie went back to the midfield. I thought both players, this is the good part. I thought both players did well. They were above average for Juve. I didn't think either of them had a fantastic performance where we'll be talking about this game for longer than a few days. I don't think Timothy Weah played well enough to say, you know what, this is the formation we're going with moving forward. I think they're still going to experiment and see what works best. But I was happy to see that they both did well enough. I would give Timothy Weah something like a 7.2, McKennie more like a 7.6. It's not, you guys keep thinking about school, man. I see your face. This is soccer ratings, and 7.2 as a sofa score or any other app, it's a good performance. It's average, slightly above average. That's what it is. It's not a C. I know you got a lot of C minuses in school, Rocky. That's why you're having flashbacks. We're not talking about your schooling days. This is a good performance. At 7.5 is good. That's good. Weah did good. McKennie did better. I don't think it's enough for them to do this moving forward, but I hope it is.
You can't put decimal places on your own. Like that suggests that you're super specific and you were looking at every touch and were able to do some kind of mathematical analysis to arrive at a 0.2. Like if there are multiple people and then we average it together, 7.2 works. But like, let's put that out there because it's extremely pretentious to put your own decimal point and suggest that you went through some kind of analysis to come to your
pretentious to do. Okay, let me do it. Whole 8. Okay, 8. Wow. Wow,
that's pretty good. 8 is pretty good.
8 is good.
Yeah, well,
but
I don't think you deserve it.
I disagree with you. I think Weah was really good, and I think the formation change I think is one that's going to stick. Because I think the question now is, how did I not have Weah on the field? I need to have Weah on the field. Because I think Weah, this Juve team is interesting. They don't really have players that can go by their defenders, right? Rabiot's a good player, but I mean, there are very few players who can beat defenders one-on-one. And Weah, he does it with pace. Yeah, he doesn't do it necessarily as a technical dribbler, but he can get by his man. And so I think he's someone that has to be on the field. And I think that Allegri will realize that, and I think that's for me. I think a big takeaway from this game, and I think it's a big moment. And I'm hopeful that it's the start of how this team will play moving forward. It's a good result for them too, right?
Yeah. So I got a question for Bick. Vic,
Yeah.
in the UK or
Mm.
specifically London, do people watch the Serie A? Like, are you watching these games? Or I want you to speak on
Um,
behalf of, as I always do, like the entire English
yeah, yeah,
population. Do people give a care?
yeah. Yeah, I think. I mean, they definitely do. I think I mean, it's more of a football hipster thing where like you'll have like massive Milan or Juve fans. I think it depends on the quality of the league. So everyone will watch El Clasico. People will watch the big Champions League matches. There will be a subset of football fans that will watch it, but most of the countries focus on the Premier League. And people will often go support their local teams and then watch one in the Premier League. So it's a smallish percentage of the population that will watch it.
Because
So
the
that's
thing I think that's happened now, obviously, we have a lot of American players that are in this league now,
Mm,
right? So Roy is
yeah,
basically like watching games 6 times, putting decimal points behind the
yeah,
players. Rahi's wearing his about an AC Milan knockoff jersey. I don't even know where
yeah.
he got that from.
Where do you
So
get these?
I'm
Is it the swap meet?
I'm
What's a
I'm
total
filled.
knockoff?
I'm surrounded by these like new. We did a segment on earlier about these like new Serie A fans who have suddenly become huge Juve and AC Milan, and it's quite hipster. That's a good
Yeah,
way
yeah.
of putting it from that perspective. So I'm
Yeah,
wondering if
I
there's
like
same
that
phenomenon
term.
happens in England as well.
Yeah. When the Serie A was at its peak, when it was probably the best league in the world, then there was more of a focus on it. But again, I think that's changed. I think it's not even the second best, probably the third best at this point, which is fine. Um, so yeah, I also don't think it's uncommon for if you have a lot of people from one country playing in a league, all of a sudden for there to be a bit of a build up in popularity. I can definitely see that, and if that continues, I can definitely see a lot more American fans, watching the Serie A just as much as the Premier League.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a good segue to your. I know you want to talk about a little Premier League action. So what you
yeah,
got
of
for us
course.
about this game?
As always. So Liverpool, Brighton lost 6-1 last week. And one of the things that we discussed was they play a very attacking brand of football. They'll make a few defensive mistakes here and there. That happens. You've got to stick to your style because it'll pay off. And it sort of did in this match. Lots of defensive errors. Pretty much the exact same mistake being made for the first 3 goals by both teams. And that was the attacking team pushing high up, the defending team passing the ball out, and then getting crowded out, and then mistakes being pounced on. So I just have my notes here. I think Salah had a decent game, but again, there was no one. I felt it was more a case of just defensive errors all around, and people just need to sharpen up at the back.
So which team
You,
do you think would be happier coming out of this game?
oh, definitely Brighton. I mean, I know they're still high up in the table. They're still sixth, but it is Liverpool. Liverpool are expected to sort of compete for the title. I don't know if they actually will go all the way. They'll probably be there or thereabouts till the 30th match of the season. So I think Brighton will be pretty happy with it. Although I will say they had a chance right at the end, and they could have made it 3-2. So I am pretty positive on Brighton all round. I think they've done a fantastic job so far. They play this really exciting attacking brand of football, and that's just going to carry on getting them results. I think Liverpool will be quite disappointed overall. They sort of slipped up last week, had those unfortunate red cards and the goal knocked off, but you thought they'd bounce back, especially with City having lost as well. They had a chance to go right up there, but I think they've missed out. So
Rahi and Roy, are you guys like big Brighton fans now as well, or what?
I've always liked
I don't know.
Brighton. Brighton is a very very fun team to watch. They always have been, and they're kind of like a small local restaurant, that's but
Yeah,
that's really good, like that like. But every once in a while, you go there and the dish of the day isn't that great, you know what I mean? But for the most part, like they're always exciting, something interesting. It's like a rotating menu, they only serve 3 dishes and it's all attacking. But the
yeah,
point I'm making is that they're
What I
fun.
was alluding to, is a lot of the American players were going to go to Brighton, and then so
Were.
these guys
I was
both were.
almost a Brighton
These guys
super
were almost
fan.
Brighton fans. Like I bet Roy brought the jersey and Rahi brought the jersey, but like they had to return it because
I
I
had
would
it
have
in
liked
my
that. It would have
shopping
been
cart.
cool. I
now they're
mean,
Bournemouth
yeah,
fans and all that kind of stuff. But
I will
yeah,
say I was disappointed with Liverpool because I really thought of them, especially in the last game against Spurs, where they were down. They had so much adversity, then with the red card, and then down a goal, then to come back. I thought this team has the spirit to compete. Like the Liverpool spirit is back.
Yeah.
And then this was really disappointing because I thought that game would be a turning point, and then we'd see a very, very spirited Liverpool side. This is a tough opponent, Brighton, but I think they had the game won, and to sort of lose the game, not lose the game, but to lose the result the way they did, I was disappointed. And now I'm starting to question what I thought before was that this is a team that's up for a title fight. I'm not so sure they are, because some of the same frailties we've seen are showing up again, and defensively they look a bit of a mess. So that was disappointing.
I mean, when Van Dijk makes simple errors, I know the commentator blamed McAllister, but it was completely Van Dijk's fault. You know, he's passing it out. There's 3 guys on him.
That's Roy's boy, by the way, McAllister.
Yeah.
I love him, man.
Where's your McAllister jersey, dude? I don't see it.
Yeah, I gotta get one. I love him. I love McAllister, man. What a player.
I just love that he's got the least Argentinian name on the planet.
Yep. He's Irish.
No, that's a good. I mean, I think
got it. Let's see.
I think the way they're positioned now, right? It's interesting because obviously you have Tottenham playing a lot better this year, right? You have Arsenal played well last year, but Arsenal's getting the results this year too.
And they've got Rice.
Right, exactly. Declan Rice has stepped up. So it's no longer just competing against City for Liverpool. It's you have to compete against all of these teams. And so every game is big, and now Brighton too. So you know, these are all
Aston
games.
Villa, a good side.
Aston
A lot
Villa.
of good sides, right?
I think for the first time, you know, the Premier League is actually like a very, very open race. And that's something that we want to talk about. Let's go back across the pond to another race that's happening. Speaking of teams that will not be participating for title pushes this year,
Coming home.
Inter Miami. Roy, the floor is all yours.
That hurts, man. This hurts a lot. Jeez Louise. Didn't we make a video about a week and a half ago? And I think we all agreed that Miami would be able to pull it off due to the Messi effect.
Yeah.
Didn't we all agree on this?
I'm trying to deny that. I maybe I did. I do not remember.
We were pretty confident, man.
I use a deniability.
No,
I
I
don't
said it.
remember if I said it.
I said it. I think my words were that Miami are favorites with or without Messi.
Yep.
I guarantee it. I didn't say that, but I think I alluded to that. And
I made the mistake of agreeing with you for once, Rocky. That last time I do that.
Never do that.
But yeah, they're out, man. And it wasn't close. It wasn't close. Since their Leagues Cup just magical run to win the Leagues Cup and then almost winning the US Open Cup, it was pretty much all downhill from there. They got blown out in most of their past 5 games. They lost to Cincinnati at home. They hit the post like 4 or 5 times during that game. It just didn't seem like it was meant to be. Messi finally made his return yesterday, and he didn't look like himself. It looked like a guy that was coming back from injury who was scared. He missed a free kick that he's made, 2 or 3 of that exact free kick so far this season. He was like a 100% success rate on those. Missed it. Looked like any other player yesterday. And it's sad that we're going to have an MLS postseason without Lionel Messi. It is very, very sad. And it is what it is, man. The trio couldn't get it done.
Would have been a great story. Would have been a great
Tata
story.
Martino, man. Imagine Tata Martino coming back to MLS and guiding the worst team in the league to not only a Leagues Cup, US Open Cup, and MLS Cup final, but he only did one of the 3.
There goes the UK viewership for the MLS, right?
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
There goes the global viewership for MLS, which is another very, very huge missed opportunity for MLS. It's converting those new eyeballs to long-term viewers, to get interest in their local team. There's tons of people watching these games, man. There's tons of text messages I got from family in Argentina, from friends here in the US asking me about Cincinnati, asking me about LAFC, about LA Galaxy.
Wait, time out. You got text messages this weekend after Inter Miami went out?
I got a few text messages, man.
Or what did
Last
they say?
time I'm watching this damn league.
Where is Cincinnati? Where is this team that beat them? Where is this located?
Yeah, no, people are
Um,
pissed. People are pissed with the whole debacle of Miami not being forward about his injury, not telling people when he would be back, if he would make the bench. They really kept it on the down low. I understand why from a business perspective, but from the perspective of the fan and building a culture of trust and building that fan base, they dropped the ball, man. They really dropped the ball on this one.
I do want to point out one other thing. For those of you only listening to audio, Roy is wearing a jersey of a team that is also been eliminated from the MLS playoffs, and he has not mentioned that yet. So, Roy,
Haven't
what's going on
mentioned
with the LA Galaxy? Like, can we just talk about that for a couple seconds?
We can. The LA Galaxy is a disgrace. And I could stop there, but if you
Yeah.
want more info,
No, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to hear that, and like, can you guys log that audio if they ever
I'm fine
come
with
back? I just
having
wanted
that
to hear it.
logged.
I
I
just
am
want to hear
totally
that.
fine.
I
It's
just wanna
been
hear
10
the
years,
audio.
man. It's been 10 years since this Galaxy team has been relevant. It's been 10
Bikram,
years.
Do you know what the LA Galaxy is, by the way?
Yeah, I know the
I
LA
do.
Galaxy.
Okay, just checking.
I watched.
Why
The
do you know
Beckham
him?
documentary, man.
I know
Who
that's
knows?
where I was
Yeah,
going with
exactly.
this. Way to spoil it, you guys.
Oh,
Just trying to segue that, man.
there. I
Thanks for
see. I see.
ruining
Oh, you're
this
trying to shut
program.
me up already, huh? You don't want to hear any
I
more
mean,
about the
okay,
Galaxy?
what else do you guys want to talk about Messi at this point in
No,
time? I mean, yeah.
I think it's worth reinforcing what you said, Roy, about I think it's really screwed up the way that Inter Miami approached this whole Messi injury. And it felt very shady, and it felt like we're not going to tell the fans whether he's going to play or not. Just show up to the game, pay hundreds of dollars. You don't know, he might show up, maybe he won't. And for me, that felt really it felt like business minded, yes, but also extremely cynical. And I didn't enjoy it. I don't love the way Tata Martino was answering questions about it, as if to say, I need to gain an advantage by telling the opponent and not telling the opponent whether Messi's going to play. But
Sure.
what do you think the opponent's going to be scared and change the way they're going to play? And then it's very simple. If Messi plays, you lose if you're the opponent. If Messi doesn't play, you
Yeah.
win. It's very, very simple.
Good
I
way
don't
to
know
look
what
at
the
it.
whole need to be so shrouded in secrecy is. So for me, Tata has done some weird things, especially when he was Mexico manager. I thought he had a really antagonistic relationship with the press at that time. I don't know why he's continued that now in a situation where everything was all happy and sunshine and roses. And I think they screwed up, man. I really wasn't happy the way they handled it. And they kind of went out with the whimper, man. Like I think there's real questions about Tata and his management abilities at this point because yes, Messi's Messi, but they kind of went out like without any real fight when he went injured.
They did. And it's been more than Messi, is something that we have to keep in mind. He got to sign the players he asked for. He joined Inter Miami and he said, we got Messi, we got Busquets, we got Jordi Alba. Those are front office signings. Those aren't signings that Tata Martino came in and said, I need these three. No, front office signings, marketing signings, bring the best player in the world and his friends. That's going to be must-watch soccer. But he came and said, I want Farias. I want Gomez. I want this Argentinian center back. He got everyone he wanted. So that was a good team on paper. So to say that this team should be losing 5-2, should be losing 4-1, should get knocked out at home 1-0, I don't know. I think eyes should turn towards a coach. Again, it's too early. He's been here for a couple months now. You can't be asking for his head, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miami comes out next season and continues this trend of Messi is in, they look good. Messi is out, they lose 3-0. I think that's where we have to start questioning the coach.
Okay, so real quick, what does he do? Does he go now to on loan to Europe or what?
Oh, they're talking about there's a MLS rule that says if you don't make, I believe it's if you don't make the postseason, you could send your players out on loan, your designated players out on loan. So
Right,
Messi
right.
can go out on loan to FC
Yeah.
Barcelona.
I know. So
That
that's why I
is
was asking you, does he do it?
Well, there's one sign indicating yes. The owner of Inter Miami.
I've noticed Roy's been very coy today. I don't know why. Usually he has very strong opinions. Like, Roy, what's going on? Do you
I
want
don't have an opinion. I don't.
give
I don't
give
have
me
a
the
strong
straight
opinion.
answer? Is he going or not, man? Come on.
Here's Jorge Mas, the owner, has said he will do everything in his power to ensure that Lionel Messi gets to say goodbye to Barcelona. So take that as you will. Does that mean a loan now? Does that mean a farewell
Yes.
match between Inter Miami and FC Barcelona next summer? I don't know. But he will play either versus Barcelona or in Barcelona again before he retires.
Okay.
In what capacity? We'll see.
We shall see. Going back to the LA Galaxy, Bick, there was a guy that played for the LA Galaxy by the name of David Beckham. And I heard you did a little viewing this weekend.
Yeah, I watched some of it on my flight to Granada and some on the way back, and I must say I really enjoyed it. I've always had a soft
What is
spot.
it? What is it for the people listening on audio?
Oh,
They didn't see
let's the new David Beckham documentary on Netflix. I think it's an absolute must watch. I like sports docuseries anyway. I'll watch all sports, but I think this one definitely stood out for me. I've had a soft spot for David Beckham generally. I mean, I used to support Liverpool, still do somewhat, but he was a Man U player. Didn't love him, but always respected him as a footballer. He was great for England, great for Man U. For some time though, I did think he was overrated just because of the global celebrity. I think looking back at it now, there is a part of me that thinks he's actually underrated. And I think we focused so much on the celebrity, we forgot that he was a damn good footballer. And
Yeah.
and I think that was one of the things that the documentary brought back to me. Just the personality around David Beckham. He's not got a lot of personality, but there are elements to it
It's not.
that I think were very interesting. Like he's a bit self-deprecating. I knew about the OCD, but that's something that comes up in the documentary as well. He is definitely very shy. He's not the most expressive person on the planet. But there was this one scene with Victoria, and I know it's already done the rounds on the internet. It's the one where she's like talking about, oh yeah, we came from a working class background, and Beckham straight up calls her out on it. He's like, no, what car do your drive, dad, in the 80s? And she's like, no, listen, it was the 80s, it was a different time. It's like, no, what car do your dad drive? And then
I
he
love
gets out.
that.
Yeah, for those who haven't watched it, her dad used to drive a Rolls Royce.
Oh,
And he's like,
and
yeah,
she
thank
called
you.
him in a working class.
Yeah, it's different in the UK. Working class doesn't necessarily, it's not always associated with wealth. It's like,
means that he
can rise
works.
up from a
He
working
has
class
a job.
background.
That's what
Is
she
it-
said.
Sorry?
She meant that he works. He has a
No,
job.
I think,
Thus,
yeah,
is in the working
it's also a
class.
different type of job, right? It's not a job that is, that requires a university education. It's not being an accountant or something, right? It's like, you've made your money in the trade, you've made your money, I don't know, running a business. Yeah, but that was really funny. And
love
yeah, I
that.
mean, the thing is, what I really loved about the documentary was you could literally have so many subplots, and there's
Right.
so many things around there. There's like his relationship with Sir Alex Ferguson, the media, the fallout from the World Cup in '98, the redemption story. Yeah, I think just the celebrity with Victoria Beckham, their relationship. Yeah, and I was also reminded of like the way he was treated in England. I mean, obviously I wasn't in the UK at that point, but like you read up on it, you watch videos of it, and you remember that story when it happens. And yeah, I think just some of the abuse that he got was just relentless.
Yeah, especially after that World Cup red card against Argentina, right? So
Yeah.
that was. But no,
Yeah.
so rave reviews across the board, but
Yeah.
for you that's a must watch, right?
100%. And also, yeah, the cameos across the board. I mean, obviously Sir Alex Ferguson, Roy Keane, you had Gary Neville giving the best man speech from his wedding, there was a really funny line in there. I'll let you guys watch it. It's not one to watch with the family. And then Roy, you like this Diego Simeone made a cameo as well. He was, of course, the villain as far as England were concerned. But I thought he came across really well as well. So, they asked him straight up. They said, do you think that was a red card? And he said, no, definitely not. But, it is what it is. Like, in hindsight, these things are quite funny. But, when that happened, obviously, there was a lot of anger across the board. Most of it directed at Beckham.
Yeah.
Do any
it was,
any LA Galaxy officials make it into this documentary?
Did you
Well,
get
I've
to
only
those
watched the first
episodes?
2 episodes, so I'll review that next week, and I'll let you know.
So he got a lot of hate at the LA Galaxy as well, and I hear it does come out in the
Okay.
series. There were
Yeah.
moments in his first and second seasons where he was hated in LA.
Yeah.
He was a big money signing. He was not performing in LA.
Yeah.
It took him 3 years to finally perform for the Galaxy. And there was one instance, I think it's in the show, where someone from Lars, the supporter section, jumps out of the crowd and confronts him to fight him face to face.
I remember that happening live, actually.
Oh, you
I
do?
remember when it happened. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah?
it's like it's the thing is, there's just, if you look at Beckham's career, there's just so much that has happened. You forget so much, Like, people have forgotten his goal from behind the halfway line. That was
Yeah.
one of the first episode focused on, like when he became a household name. I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
was one of the first times that was done in England.
Yeah.
So that was a huge deal. That put him on the map.
And then, of
Then
course,
the
his historic goal against Greece, also
The free
obviously
kick.
the
Yeah.
free kick. Yeah, that.
Mhm.
yeah. That was the completion of the redemption arc.
Right. No, he ended up getting a statue in the LA Galaxy. Remember, like at the end of
Exactly.
it
I get
all,
to see it
there was
almost
actually a
every
really
day, man.
funny. James Corden did a hilarious prank. If anyone has not seen this, you need to
Have
watch.
you seen that,
Watch
Vic?
James Corden prank of David Beckham.
It's
I'll take a look.
the best
I'll take a look.
segment in any late night show I've ever seen. Absolutely incredible.
He's done some other stuff with Beckham as well, right? He did something
Yeah.
for Comic Relief.
This
Oh,
was around the
they're
LA
good
Galaxy
friends.
statue. Yeah, around the
Yeah.
statue unveiling, and it's quite fascinating. A little
It's-
bit of an
it's almost
homage
too
to
good.
Yeah.
a little bit of an homage to the Cristiano Ronaldo statue that didn't look anything like
Yeah.
Cristiano. So
I
that was
love
that.
that.
But I
Yeah,
agree with
go
you,
ahead.
Vic. I think he's actually underrated, and
Yeah, I
people
agree.
forget how good he really was. I actually
Mm.
got a chance to watch him play at the Bernabeu in Madrid, and that was the Galacticos. That was when Zidane was there, Figo. But he's an incredible player, and just because of his celebrity,
Yeah.
it's got lost in all that. How incredible he was, and how incredible he was late into his career as well.
Yeah.
he had a long career, and he was good at multiple phases. He didn't he go back to Europe after the Galaxy as well, right?
Yeah, he
He
went
on
to AC
loan.
Milan.
That's why he was hated. He went on loan to Milan,
Yeah.
and that's where he got injured. So he missed an entire year with the
Mm.
Galaxy.
And then he finished with PSG right at the end.
But I remember at the
And
Church,
finished with
of
PSG.
England had a banner in '98. It was God forgives everybody, including David Beckham.
Oh, I mean, that's very gracious of them.
Rahi actually tried to construct his entire wardrobe. Based on David
Based on
Beckham's
David
style.
Beckham.
David
He's the
Beckham's
Do you
style.
have a sarong?
No, but I have a beanie. Like he's big into the
Yeah.
the beanies all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
you
the
do that
half
weird
covering
beanie thing.
beanies.
I've seen you.
Yeah,
You do the beanie like you're hiding a bunch of drugs or something. I've seen you
He's-
rock. That's the strangest look.
David Beckham.
Don't get it.
Okay, so let's finish with this. Go from the past England star to the new boy at Madrid. We'll finish with this. Rahi, I'll turn it over to you in case anyone is not aware of what's going on in Real Madrid. What's happening over there?
What's happening is Jude Bellingham is a star, an absolute star. And I couldn't have imagined how quickly he's become that. And that's what's so shocking. I mean, he scores again, they win easily. I think he has 8 goals in 8 games in La Liga, 2 goals in 2 games in the Champions League. So if that's maybe what you wanted from Christian Pulisic, Roy, that's why your standards are so high. But that's incredible. He's scoring a goal a game. But it's not just that for me. It's that the Madrid public and the fans have taken to him so much because he's literally the biggest player on the team now all of a sudden, and he's the star. He's taking the team to new levels, and I can't remember a player who's come into Madrid this young and had such an impact this quickly, and also so loved so fast. Even a player like Vinicius, who remember the fans were up and down on him. He sometimes doesn't perform. He doesn't make the right last pass. This guy is coming from the very beginning, been a star, and then of course the fact that he's British also is big. I mean, it's typically you haven't had that many players who travel well, right? Who have success outside of England. But this is incredible. He plays with such swagger. I'm shocked. I thought he would be good, but I didn't expect him to be this good, this fast. And I feel like he's taken like the Kylian Mbappe place in some ways, right? You kind of feel bad for Mbappe because he's stuck around now at PSG, and I wonder if that sort of void that was there for a new young star at Real Madrid has now been filled by Jude Bellingham.
I mean, people are claiming him to be the best player in the world, even now.
But he's playing at the biggest club in the world and doing what he's doing. I mean, Real Madrid is still the kingmaker club, right? You do well there, you are eternally legendary.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking now, obviously, Vic, you're a huge England fan, but like I can think back to Steve McManaman, obviously Beck's. But I don't think I've seen something like this.
No, it's a first. It's a first time in the modern era. I think there were a couple of players the 50s and 60s who did well. I think it was a Welsh player for Juve. I forget his name, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it's unheard of for English players to go abroad and do well. They'll occasionally do it, but yeah,
But this is
especially
not
to
just
this level for a club of
yeah. I
this
was gonna
size.
say yeah. This is not just doing
Yeah.
well. This is like taking
Yeah,
the
yeah.
league and just
Yeah.
taking over essentially
Yeah.
at the age
Yeah,
of 20.
so- Yeah, I mean,
Almost-
I don't think there's anything I can add to what Rai said. I mean, his finishes on the weekend as well, just incredible. And he just looks so on it, like he's just like he owns the place, he owns the arena. He's a superstar there, and to do that in this early on in your career at Real Madrid, I think is just incredible.
Roy, have you seen his celebration? It's kind of good. He stands there and the one he did this time, he stands there and then he mouths "Vamos." It's very good. It's like it's smart because he knows he's in Spain, so that's
Smart man.
He's a
He's
smart man.
playing to his audience, man. No, he's been absolutely killing. I was trying to think what other Englishmen. I mean, there's the Welshman, Gareth Bale.
Yeah, Bale did well. Yeah,
Another Real Madrid guy, but that was very mixed, man. He ended up being an
In the
enemy of the
beginning,
fans
he
for a
was great.
while.
They absolutely hated Bale at Madrid at the end. I mean,
yeah, oh god,
yeah.
Bale though in his initial prime when he was there was fantastic, but
towards the beginning he was excellent.
he was spent like out of this world. But I don't know. This is looking scary good, and I don't know what's gonna happen with Jude Bellingham's career. I mean, I think we still have to see him shine to this level for England. Obviously, let's see. There's an international break coming up.
Yeah.
But every time, just speaking as Americans, we have young players and we say, okay, cool. They're young. They have time to develop. You see something like this and you're like, okay, we're quite far off the mark actually in terms of where we need to get to. But let's go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's all set up for England to massively hype up the team again and then get knocked out in the first round.
We can only hope. We can only hope for that, man. That's what we're all hoping
man.
for. So.
I won't be hoping for that, but yeah, I think look, I think there's generally a trend of players performing or peaking earlier. I mean, I'm literally thinking of three players. I'm thinking of Bellingham, Mbappe, and Haaland, and they're a lot younger than Ronaldo and Messi were when they peaked, and younger than Zidane when he peaked, or Figo, or any of the other superstars that we had. Now, one thing I will say about Bellingham is still, he's still quite early on in his career, and it could be. I don't think it's going to be a flash in the pan. I think he's generally an outstanding player, but you've got to give it time, right? We talk about sample size. We spoke about sample size earlier. Like, let's give it the rest of the season, see how he performs. But so far so good.
Yeah.
Size
I
matters.
think the one crazy thing about Bellingham was in Dortmund, he and Gio Reyna for a while had formed a pretty interesting partnership where they were best buddies on the field. They had that wonderful chemistry-filled connection, and obviously we see which one ended up making it big and which one did not.
Come on, it's early.
Nah,
early.
I'm done with Gio, man. I'm done.
He's done. He's done with
over this
Pulisic.
guy.
He's done with Gio. He's
Pulisic,
done
I'm okay with. Gio,
He's
I'm
done.
done with this guy, man. How many more years of injuries? Jeez Louise.
He's done with the LA Galaxy. Roy's just on one today. He's just
I
done
am
with everyone, man.
having a
He's done
rough
with
day.
everyone. He's done. So anyhow, we'll be releasing this. You guys can hear this on Spotify and other audio podcasts out there, as well as if you want to sit through and watch these beautiful faces for an hour, you could do that as well here. I say that after they've got to this point and probably watched all this already. So
we can re-listen now. On
there you go. You
right.
can re-listen to Roy's Roy's optimism on all things American. But no, we'll come to you guys again with weekly on weekend recaps. We have an international break coming up, so should be some exciting stuff coming up next week. US boys back in action, England boys back in action, everyone back in action.
All the boys back in action.
Should be.
You could also do this podcast live from your house if you just let us sleep on your couch and pay for our flight.
Yeah, we could, but why would we? Why would I want to do that?
I would do it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad someone's excited about that.
We're
But
working class, boy. We're working class.
I'm a working
Yeah.
class man.
there you
I
go.
have
There you go.
modest taste. I'm simple. Give me a blanket and a couch. That's all I need.
So, as always, I will end this segment. I'm not going to say "Go USA" because Roy apparently is not in the mood to say "Go USA." So we'll go with keep watching the beautiful game. And until next time,
I like that.
sweet dreams.
Vamos.